Hello everybody, it's Stephen and Walter here. Doing a little impromptu video, and yeah, we'll see how this works out. Anyways, today is Wednesday, April the 19th, and we're in Victoria, BC. We arrived yesterday afternoon, late, and I was going to put up a video today with pictures that I had taken yesterday of the ferry ride and everything like that. And for some reason, my technology is not cooperating, which is not unusual, to get things where I want them to be so I can put that together. It may have to do with the Wi-Fi connection we have in this room, although it seems pretty good. Don't know what it is, haven't figured it out. So maybe later on this video, you will see those pictures. But right now, we're just going to give you some of our impressions as to our first 12 hours in Victoria. So let's start with the weather. What's the weather?
Oh, it's not bad. It's dry actually, but it's cool. It's 9 degrees Celsius, which is about 48 or 50 Fahrenheit. And it's sun pops out every once in a while. So it's pleasant. It doesn't seem to be too windy. So
yesterday when we came across the body of water, what is that body of water? It's probably called the Straits of something, or
I can't remember.
I don't know. Anyways, it's from Vancouver to here to the island to where Victoria is situated. Victoria, by the way, is the capital of British Columbia, if you did not know that. So it was nice. The weather was nice yesterday. Now, when I say nice, I've got a frog in my throat. It wasn't raining while we were on the ferry. It was cool though. It has,
and the water wasn't too choppy.
No, the water was pretty good too. There were a couple of, well, first of all, I'm stepping ahead of myself here. So we got on, no problem. You have to book. Well, you should book. You should reserve your time for getting onto the ferry. Walter done that all back at home and prepaid for it and everything. It's not cheap. It's about $109 one way for a car and two people, because they do charge you for the car and they charge you for the number of occupants of that car as well. So we booked the time, but they had a stipulation. So they said what?
Yeah, if you had a pre-booking, I guess what happens is that they have, you can just drive up and try and get on there if they have room. But you take your chances of whether you get on at that particular sailing or not, right? So I guess what they do is they let those people on first. What they do is they ticket for that day, right? And they go on first. But our time was reserved, and it was stated that we had to be there between 12 and 12:30. If you got there before 12, you wouldn't be let on. Your ticket would be voided. And if you tried to get on after 12:30, then again your ticket they wouldn't let you on. So you had to be there between certain times. And I think it was was it a traffic control type thing that they were doing.
Yeah. So anyways, we got on smoothly, and then there's areas on this ship, of course, where you can sit and ride it out, because it's about an hour and 45 minutes or so, almost 2 hours for the crossing. And so we did sit down, and then Walter went looking for a bathroom, and he comes back and he says, hey, there's a place up here on the ship that has these really comfy chairs in it, but it looks like you have to pay for it, something like $14 a person. So I said, well, let me go and explore it further. So I went up and looked into it, and it included some snacky foods, coffee, a newspaper, comfy chairs, very private, quiet area, and you had windows all the way around so you could see out onto the water. And I thought, yeah, for $14 a person, I could live with this and not sit with the plebes. Yeah. So we got that, and we had lovely. They had little donuts, and they had cheese, and they had almonds, and they had coffee, and they had there were a couple other things they had there.
Yeah.
As well. It was, we're not talking here a major buffet. It didn't matter though. For $14, I thought it was well worth being able to sit in these really nice, comfortable chairs. And so that's what we did. we felt like we were a first class.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if they had that kind of setup the last time we came over here, but the last time we came over here was 1994. So, and of course, in 1994, if they were going to charge us for something like that, we wouldn't have paid it.
No.
So, but now, whatever. And while we were sitting up there were two yahoos. And I think I have a
That
little.
was outside. They were
That was outside. They were outside at the. I guess we were at the stern of the boat of the ship.
Yeah.
Where this sitting area was, but they were outside, and they were a couple of wannabe jocks. Just a couple of boys who had the IQ of a 14-year-old boy, although they looked like they were probably in their 20s. They're jogging, they're stretching out there, and then they're jogging around, and they're running around the
perimeter of the boat outside on the decks.
You know, and they're going around, they're hopping over things, and they're doing chin-ups on the edges of the boat. Like there was these windows kind of thing in steel frames, I guess, you know, as a barrier to the wind. And they were jumping up there. They were probably about 8 feet tall. These
Trying
things.
to show off that they were muscular.
Yeah, they were doing these
other stuff.
chin-ups and all this stuff, and back and forth. Well, somebody did come out, one of the staff on the ship, and said, "No running." They like no running, and which safety
And they
thing.
argued with them.
And
one
they argued.
guy argued with, "Well, how else am I going to be able to exercise on here?"
And all this kind of stuff. They had an IQ level of a potato, and so they stopped their jogging, but they didn't stop from doing their little chinnies all the way up. But eventually they did go away. But just as we were docking and we were about to leave, I did hear two of the staff members in that area that we were in talking about these two guys, and it was a little after the fact because we were docking at that point. If I was trying to give it logic, which I think was completely useless in the case of these two a-holes, because that's what they were. They were absolute arrogant little a-holes. They're training for a marathon or something, and maybe they ran to the ferry docks from one location, but they wanted to keep their heart rates or whatever up, so they figured they could carry on running around on the deck of the ship or something and doing their little chin-ups, and then maybe they were running, you know, once they got off the ship, maybe they were running someplace again, maybe it was some sort of marathon training. I don't know. And if it was, it doesn't really matter. They were just being a-holes. And it was a safety issue. There's a lot of older people on this ferry who were, you know, walking around the deck, taking their time, looking out there. One of these guys comes around from a corner and plows into one of those people. You know, they're going to break a hip. And I don't mean the young guys. So just Yahoo entertainment. I think that's the first Yahoos we've actually run into.
Yeah.
Well, the homeless people that we went in through that were shooting up, that doesn't count. There's a different kind of problem. But anyway, so we got here. We have a rented car. Walter had to figure out how to use it. It has little gizmos on it and things. More gizmos than you've got on yours.
Yeah.
I don't have any gizmos.
Well,
on
my
mine.
car is 9 years old, so.
Well, mine's 14. It doesn't have any gizmos. Actually, it's 15. It's an old car, but still runs. Take it out once a month for an hour, whether it needs it or not. Yeah. So we got here and we got to Abigail's. Abigail's is where we're sitting in right now, our room at Abigail's. I do have a little video of what this looks like that you will eventually see whenever I can get it up here onto YouTube. Very nice. Very, very nice. And how did you stumble upon this place?
I just went on actually TripAdvisor, and they had this was rated as one of the #1 hotels, so I had a good look for it, and I looked at it, and actually what sold me on the place was that they didn't allow any children here. It was no one over the age of 16 accompanied by their parents are allowed to be here. And they wouldn't rent out to anyone under 21 if they were booking it for themselves. So that sort of cemented the deal on me, because it would be nice to have a quiet place to stay, and it seems like most of the people that are staying here are seniors anyway.
Yeah, definitely an older crowd, but it's very nice. It was originally built in the Tudor style of homes, and it was originally an apartment building. I think, did you say?
Yeah,
Back in when, the 20s or 30s
yeah,
or something. It's been here a long time. And over the years, it's gone under different transformations. I guess I think at one point it was a B&B, and yes, definitely you could see why it would have been a B&B. But now it is a hotel, and they have a couple of extra buildings to either side of it.
it's a hotel, but they're sort of running it as a bed and breakfast because they do include breakfast with your stay here. So
And we just came from that breakfast, and it was very nice. When we checked in yesterday, the lady at the counter told us, she said, "What time would you like? We do it on the half hour, an hour, from 7 until 10." And we said, "Okay, well, 8:30." And she said, "And you'll have a choice between a light, a sweet, and a savory style of brekkies." We weren't really sure what that meant, except we speculated that sweet was probably like something like pancakes or waffles or that kind of thing, and savory's probably your more traditional bacon, eggs, whatever, ham, and light was probably, piece of cottage cheese on a Melba toast. I don't know. But anyways, we went down and had our brekkie, and it was very nice. Very nice.
we had juice and we had coffee or tea. Juice was offered, a couple of different kinds. They offered us a cup of fruit.
A fruit cup.
And they came around with croissants and
Scones.
scones.
Or scones.
And
You want to say.
our choice of breakfast was the savory breakfast was eggs Benedict on what they call Canadian bacon or female bacon, and the other breakfast was waffles and berries, and then the light breakfast was something like
was kind of
wasn't it like oatmeal?
oatmeal something or
with-
granola or something.
yeah.
I don't know, something like that. Anyways, as Walter said, we had the eggs Benedict, was very nice, and you could get a side with that. It came with some asparagus,
Yeah.
and you could have Greeky style potatoes or
Sausages.
sausages. I'm not a big fan of sausages. No laughing. With that, yeah, I had the Greek style potatoes, and you didn't. Cause
I didn't because
He's
I
trying-
figured I'd be full by then. So
girlish figure.
Yeah.
Trying to keep that girlish figure. Whatever.
and
But-
I don't want to waste food. So
True. Well, you've got a finger. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm full. I'm full, not full anymore.
Oh, that's what you were doing last night.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about that. But anyways, I wasn't doing that last night. Anyways, it was very, very nice. And when we arrived here as well, backtracking here a little bit, in our room, they've got a big bottle of water there for you. They have 2 half bottles of wine, one in red, one in white. Those will cost you $18 each if you want those. We have our own much bigger bottles, didn't cost $18. With that, you had a nice little welcome gift on the bed. It was a little nice little bag, and in it were 2 cookies, homemade cookies, I guess, from someplace. Very good,
No, from the kitchen here.
or from the kitchen here. Yeah, I assume the same people who made brekkie,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But they were very nice. We've eaten one of them because they're quite large. We're saving the other one for later, and they're like the way I like them, nice and soft cookies. Walter likes something a little crunchier, but I like a soft cookie. And they're kind of an oatmeal raisin, something else in them. I don't know, but very nice. Something a little different. Another thing that we found in this room that was a little different was there's a journal in here, and you're encouraged to write in it during your stay, or just to talk about whatever. So we were going through and reading what some people had said, and I think this journal started in about 2015, the one that's here currently, and goes right up. And everybody seems to be saying the same thing. They really thought the staff were excellent. They thought that they loved their room. They loved the brekkie, the whole bit. But that's kind of an interesting idea, I thought, because not just for the sake of the staff, but for people who come in the future, they can read what other people In fact, there was a couple that were here not so long ago. Actually, when was it?
The stay before us.
Was it the stay before us that were from Newcastle?
Yeah.
Yeah, Newcastle, Ontario. Newcastle, Ontario is like half an hour, 40 minutes to the east of us. So, in fact, you may have heard me talk about Newcastle on previous episodes where I talked about Annie's quilt store because it's located in Newcastle. Anyways, I digress, as I often do. Did we mention the decor?
Yeah, it's sort of a, well, Victorian-y type.
Yeah, kind of Victorian decor in here. Very nice, very tasteful. And the bathroom, the bathtub and shower are to die for.
Actually, well, and they're very thoughtful with the number of shelving units
Yes.
and stuff in the bathroom. And they're even thoughtful if you, I don't notice if you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, they have an automatic light that comes on in the bathroom
Yeah.
to help you see. So,
Except if you're in there too long, it goes off.
Yeah.
We'll wave it again. But they have this cast iron claw foot tub with this beautiful shower attachment in it that's a rain shower head above. And you've got knobs on the wall for adjusting the heat of the water. It's very
yeah, I think it has its own water heater.
own little water heater built in. The only thing about it is you really got to lift your leg to get into the tub. And they do have one of those mats you put down on the floor of the tub, not so you don't slip, and it is coated. It looks like the tub is coated in one of those non-slip kind of coatings on it, but nevertheless, if you were an older person that had some mobility issues, you might have a problem with the tub. So you just got to be careful. But like Walter said, the shelving in there, it's a pedestal sink. And with pedestal sinks, you don't have any place to put anything because there's no cabinet. And I hate hotel bathrooms that don't have enough counter space because I have a few products. Okay, that I like to leave all my stuff sitting out on the countertop so it's at my reach instead of having to pull it out of a bag and put it back in the bag. I know it's a little thing, maybe I'm picky. You girls will understand what I'm talking about. You got to have a place for your makeup. But they thought of that. And they have a little shelving unit that fits in with the decor that sits down by the side of the sink. It's a little wire rack kind of a thing. And then they have another one over on the other side. They've got a little shelfy basket thing attached right over top of the sink underneath the mirror. Plenty of room to put your shit. Not, really. And I like that. That's one of my number one key complaints about hotels is their bathroom designs with that. This one's very good for that. So yeah, they spent some time thinking about things, and they thought about your internet connections or your electronic connections, recharging. When we first got in here, I didn't see this thing I'm about to tell you about, but I was looking for outlets. Well, there are outlets, but they're not necessarily really convenient for it, but I could have made them work. I usually take things with me to make outlet situations work better. I'm kind of that way. But over on one of the end tables, night tables, they have a little box. And it's got 2 outlets in it, regular outlets, and it's got 2 USB ports in it. So that works out really well. And I think you have an outlet over your side, but you don't have one of those boxes on the other side.
No, I don't have a box on that side, but I have a plug there, and I was able to accommodate my charging devices as well.
But I've been in many hotel rooms. Well, I think they're getting better with hotel rooms because they realize people are going to have electronic devices with them. Because the one we stayed in Vancouver,
Yeah.
they had a box kind of a thing.
In
too,
fact,
so
they had on the light that was on next to my bed, they had a USB port in it.
Yeah. It's just sad that things now are all USB-Cs.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just, what that reflects for me is that when someone was planning these rooms, they thought about these things, I mean, they seem like little things, the extra shelves in the bathroom, the electronic connection box, that kind of thing. Those are little things, but those are important things. this make things much more convenient. So appreciate that. And there's a big TV in this room too. I look up, I can see it. And
It's about a 40-inch or so TV.
and it's positioned in such a way the room's basically centered around the bed.
Yeah.
But the way they have placed everything, like the TV sets in an ideal position for watching it from bed. They have this little sitting area that we've pulled the chairs
And
out
actually,
from.
the television connection itself is actually quite good.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah, it's very clear picture, lots of channels and everything like that. So yeah, really a nice place.
Yeah.
It's got character, but at the same time, it's modern. So
Yeah, it's called Abigail's in Victoria.
so we recommend it. Price wise,
It's not too bad.
not
it's
too
not,
bad.
It's not too cheap, but it's not too bad. And you got to consider it includes free parking, and it includes your breakfast, and it's a fairly elaborate
which is
breakfast.
a major breakfast. It's just not a piece of old stale toast thrown on a plate.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is we've already described. So basically, now there are a lot of taxes in Victoria.
Yeah.
They have these different hotel taxes, things like that. So
It doesn't matter where you stay; it'll still end up costing you.
so it's with the taxes and everything included. It's over $300 a night,
Yeah,
which
for this room,
for this room.
Canadian.
Which actually is not out of the way. I mean, if you were to stay, well, our accommodation in Vancouver was cheaper.
Yeah, but I looked around
not
at
as
the
nice as this.
hotels around here, and a lot of the hotels were charging around the same price, and they didn't include parking, and they didn't include breakfast. So
Yeah. So, yeah, it's worth it. It is worth it, for sure. So if you're in Victoria, check out Abigail's. And I have a feeling.
well, obviously you can't check it out if you have kids. So.
Oh, well, yeah, if you have kids, forget it. Too bad. So sad. So anyways, yeah, what's our plan for, last night we went out for dinner. We usually do a late lunch, and that kind of is our combination lunch dinner most times, but yesterday, because by the time we got here and everything, it was already late afternoon. So once we got settled into the room, we looked on the internet to see what places were close to walking distance, and everything's here is within walking distance, pretty much. We settled on an Italian restaurant that had really good reviews. So we went, and it was popular. We were there. We joked that we were going for the early bird special. Not that they had one, but you know how old people like to eat about 5. Well, it was about a little after 5.
It was about 5:30.
Yeah, 5:30 when we got there. Place is packed. But they were able to fit us in. We didn't have a reservation. It was good. It was really good. Had lots of atmosphere in there. The service was excellent. And I had a Caesar salad, and you had a
Mixed green salad.
mixed green salad to start with. And then my pasta dish. And one reason why I kind of was attracted to this place is because when I was looking at their menu online, they had fettuccine Marco Polo, they called it. And it was fettuccine with chicken, spinach, mango, cashews, and I think some parmesan in it. And it was done in a light lemony cream sauce. And that appealed to me. So that's what I had, and it was very good. And you had
I had something that was sort of an eggplant lasagna, but it was served in a different way. It didn't look like your traditional lasagna, but that's the way it was, and it was actually really good.
Yeah, it looked good. Well, I had tried a little of it.
It was
good.
and there was a lot of it.
Yeah, both of those orders were huge. We couldn't finish them. We had a bottle of wine. Their wines were not inexpensive, but then again, I guess that's probably the going
Yeah, it
rate
was
for a
about
bottle of
going,
wine
yeah.
these days, because we got a bottle of Jackson Triggs Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's a red, and it's a Canadian, it's actually an Ontario wine. Jackson Triggs, we've been to their winery before. It's in a place called Niagara on the Lake, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours west of Toronto, and it's fine as wines go, but it was $40 for a bottle of that.
Which really isn't out of the way because
No.
I think to buy a bottle at liquor store is about $12 a bottle.
Yeah, and you usually figure it's about triple
Yeah.
in a restaurant. And so we just figured, well, what the heck? Here we are, just, And actually, with the tip, it wasn't bad. It was about $140, $145
Yeah.
with the tip on it. So not way out of the way. I mean, we don't eat like this every day or every night, but this was kind of nice for a change. But it wouldn't have mattered where we'd gone for dinner here.
Yeah, a little bit expensive.
It would have been, yeah. It's all, we're from the pre-COVID days when things were
cheaper.
We thought, yeah, we're cheaper. When we look back in those days and go, oh, remember when we used to be able to get filet mignon for $28? Now it's $48. Yeah, it's all relative, I guess. So, anyways, that was a nice dinner, and then we came back to walked around a little bit more downtown, and then came back to the room. We were tired. In fact, how tired were we? Walter went to bed at 9 o'clock, 9:15.
And I actually fell asleep pretty quick too. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, ooh, he never does that. It's just a shame that it's been cloudy since we've been out here, because he would probably be amazed because he'd see sun.
But if you figure it's 3 hours later for me, because normally I go to bed at 3 o'clock, right? So 10, 11, 12, so it's like me going to bed at 12.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever. But, and I don't know, last night I was so bloated from dinner. I guess that's what it was. But at one point when I'm laying there in bed, I thought,
Of course, maybe about half that bag of jujubes that you ate.
I didn't eat half a bag. There's not many in it. I only had 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Anyways, I felt like I could throw up. Yeah. And I was a little worried about this. I was thinking, oh, did I get food poisoning? But no, I think it was just, I had so much to eat that I just felt uncomfortable. I was fine in the morning, so yeah, no problem with that. So, what are we off to today? Well, we're going to go
walk around,
because there are some museums you can go to here, but we're going to save those for tomorrow because the forecast for tomorrow looks like it's going to be back to rain. And right now, today, and as I look out the window over to the side, I see sun. I see sunlight. It's still a little frosty, but it's sunlight, and that's better than nothing. So I think we're going to just walk around town. Now, for those of you wondering, are there any quilt stores here? Not really. There's
one that I'd have to drive.
We'd have to drive to it.
There's a fabric store that's within walking distance, but I think it's only apparel fabric.
Yeah.
That they sell.
So, yeah, not going to do much shopping for any fabric.
And I'm not into buying any apparel fabric. Actually, the store that is close by here, they have a very dedicated online presence, and I know a lot of people that order from this store. So I don't know if we happen to be near that store, we might take a wander in, but
it's called what? Gala
Fabrics.
Gala, yeah. And the other quilt store that's out here is called Bib and Tucker, and apparently it sounds like they are going to close at least their store location this September out of it. But we'd have to take the car to go to them, and I don't imagine I will see anything there that I can't get anywhere else either. And I've said it before. So I mean, if they had been right downtown and we were going to walk by it, I'd go in, yes. But no. But there looks like there's a lot of little kitschy shops downtown here that do feed into the tourist trade and whatnot. I'm looking for a little nice totem pole to put on my housing display. If you saw my vlog yesterday, I talked a little bit about that. Anyways, that's our plans for today. I'm not sure when you're going to see this video because it takes a while to upload it, and so I may try to upload it later on today. So you may not see this until the day after or whatever. And I do have some pictures and things I want to show as well, but those will be in another video down the road as soon as all the technology works out. Okay, that was us checking in right now on our Stephen and Walter Go West adventure. So have a good one. Stay tuned for the next one. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So this is an outlet mall called
Sawasan.
and it's just before you get to the ferries to go over to the island. And we're here, it just opened. We got here right at 10 o'clock when it opened because we have some time to kill, because we have to be at the ferry between 12 and 12:30 for departure at 1. If you're there before 12 o'clock, they will cancel your reservation. If you're there after 12:30, they will cancel your reservation. Did I say before 1 o'clock or 12, before 12 o'clock? I said that. So you have this half-hour window. Yeah, we're about 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes away from the actual ferry there, so we should be okay. So now we're looking for some place to eat, and this is the food court, and everything's just getting open now, so I guess we'll see what we'll see. Here's something a little unusual. In this mall, there's this bear, and I just think it's kind of interesting how it's all been put together. Yeah, I know it's the tail end. Walter says it's the tail end. Tell me something I didn't know. I'm going around this way because there's a guy blocking the aisle over on the other side. But this is another one. Looks like they have a theme here. Saw the bear, now this is the wolf. They're quite interesting. So this is the food court down here. That's where we had brekkie. You can see that it's not a lot of people here. Never mind. Okay, so another shot of the mall. You can spit down here and not hit anybody. I mean, they call it an outlet mall, but really, it's just a mall. I don't know if there's such a thing as an outlet mall anymore anyways.
Actually, the manufacturers often manufacture clothes for malls.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Seconds?
No, they're not necessarily seconds. They're actually old stuff that doesn't look at in regular stores, and they have stuff that's specifically made for the outlet store, outlet malls. They're not as supposedly like
Well, there's a lot of stores in here, so. And here's another interesting piece of sculpture in colors outside of the mall. Waterfall. Okay, so this is the lineup for getting on the ferry through here, and we have a reservation. So we have to show these people that we have it. And we're here between the times we're supposed to be here. We actually pulled over to the side of the road because we thought we were going to be a little too early. And I already mentioned before that if we are too early, they will cancel our reservation. So everything looks like it should be fine. Okay, so the high tension part of today so far seems to be over with. It's always a bit nerve-wracking when you're not sure what exactly you're supposed to do, although I have to say it went pretty smoothly. Would you say?
yeah, so far.
Of course, I'm navigating here, so we're using the GPS on my cell phone, and Walter brought his old GPS, which has been giving us some problems, and then we have figured out how we can link this car to my cell phone, and so you can see the GPS that's on my phone will come up on this screen and everything like that, which will be handy later on. The world of wonderful technology. Of course, Walter's had to figure out where things are on this car, and you did find the parking brake, right? It's right there.
It's right there.
Do we know what drive mode does? We have a knob. It says drive mode.
I was going to look it up.
Now, there is an owner's manual. You already checked in here.
There's one that I can put on my phone, too.
Oh, there's one you can put on the phone, too. Oh, geez. Newfangled cars. I mean, I don't know. My car doesn't have any of these things because my car is from 2008. But anyways, another interesting thing while we're talking about technology here is our niece Karen came over to our house today to check our grow lights and everything, make sure water hadn't dried out. And we had showed her how to turn on the security system and how to open the door because we have electronic locks on the front door. Of course we do. And anyways, it went off when we were in that mall that someone had tripped the Ring alarm. Well, tripped the Ring doorbell, actually. And yep, so that was Karen. So we could actually watch her with all the cameras in the house, what she was doing. Nice to know she didn't go through our underwear drawer. Not that she'd find much. But anyways, but we were sort of watching, and we came back on. And I said, well, geez, it shouldn't take her too long, but the Ring hasn't gone off, didn't detect her leaving. And we have a thing that comes up on the cell phone that tells you when the alarm system has been, turned off or reset. So I turned on the camera, and I could see that she was at the front door, and she was just going out, and she was punching in the code on that electronic lock to lock the door, but she was having some trouble. But there is a button on there that says lock, and so she did figure it out. But Walter gave her a call. That probably scared her. We're watching you, like Big Brother. And he gave her a call, and just to check with her. And she said, yeah, she realized after the fact that, all she had to do was push the button that said lock. So everything is fine and dandy with these new electronic devices and everything. Far cry from the very first time we ever came out to this end of the world. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything. No GPS, no fancy car with these fancy things on it. They just didn't exist in 1984. And we came out in 1984 in my Omega, didn't we?
Yeah.
My first car.
Yeah.
My 6-month-old Omega. Well, I bought it with 6 months old. Yeah, drove it all the way from Ontario to BC at that time. This time we didn't drive. Okay, so we're on the ferry right now. It is supposed to be full.
I'm gonna go find the bathroom.
Walter's gotta go find a bathroom. He's leaving me. Oh well, here it is. So, see what's outside? It's sunny right now, which is a little different from what we've been used to lately, but that's okay. We'll take it when we can get it. And I think this takes a couple of hours to get across. So, see if they have Wi-Fi. Okay, so Walter went looking for a washroom and came back and said, hey, there's a luxury area up at the front that costs about $14 a people, but they got snacks and coffee and nice comfy chairs, and you're at the front of the ship and the whole bit, so. Walter's enjoying his snacks. And so I figured, he said, go up and take a look. So I did, and I looked at it and said, oh yeah, away from the plebes. Yeah, for sure. Wonder what the poor people are doing these days. Okay, there's a couple of knobs outside here trying to do exercises on the edge of the boat. I guess there's assholes everywhere. Missed it a minute ago. They were climbing up on top of this thing, chinning themselves and whatnot. And they've been stretching away. No, that's not, but
That's them.
yeah, no, it's them. I thought it was somebody coming in that they shouldn't do that. Okay, this is called asshole behavior on a ferry. They just got told they can't run around the deck. They were doing that. Now they should be told anytime soon that they can't hang off of that. Maybe if they want to be that athletic, they should just jump in the water and swim. Okay, so we're off the ferry and we're on our way to Victoria. This gives you a little idea. The sun is actually shining. I mean, it is still cloudy, of course, but there's no rain. Looks pretty good. Ferry ride was pretty efficient and no problems, and we stayed in that lovely little lounge area, which was very civilized, as I said before. And yeah, so on the road to Victoria, probably going to take us about 30-40 minutes to get there. This is Abigail's and the front of it. Now they are doing some renovation here, so this would not be the way I guess it would look usually. But you see, it's got a very Tudor style to it, and it has another building here. And over on that far side, you can see another building. That's where we had breakfast this morning as well. Very nice, highly recommended. This is Beacon Hill Park, and apparently there's a whole bunch of old gnarly trees in here. So we're gonna go in. It's a huge park, so we're gonna go in and see some gnarlies, I guess. Okay, from what we can figure out, these must be gnarly trees. Oh, there's a gnarly tree. Well, just still trying to figure out where we're at. But this is Beacon Park.
Scary oak trees and 350-year-old Chinese bell. This park is dating from the mid-1800s. It's a lovely place to stroll and have a picnic.
Oh. Yeah, maybe there's other gnarly trees. Walter thinks these are rhododendrons. I have no idea. They're red. They're a flower. They're red. And as you can see, for this time of the year where we live, there's none of this would be out yet. But we have lots of things out here. What are these, pansies? I think they're pansies and daffodils. Very pretty. And then there's a bunch of red and white flowers up here. Not sure what they are either, but they're pretty. Well, this is a picturesque little spot here in the park, and we've got ducks. Looks like it's a mallard. It doesn't really care that I'm here. I'm sure they're very used to people. And here's a big tree. Look up, look way up. Here, ducky, 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 ducky. Someone's calling for you. There's the other one out here that was just calling. Some more of the flowers in the park. Very pretty. For you? I don't. I'm sorry, I do not. Oh, I know. I wish I could give you something. You're a fat little guy though, aren't you? More flowers, daffodils and crocus. And I have no idea what these are. It's a nice little park. Sort of in the center of the city. Lots of water spots, ducks.
How's that? It's like a...
It's a big bird. It's not a hawk, is it?
No, I think it's pheasant or something.
I don't know. I don't think pheasants can fly
I don't know.
that high.
It's a big bird.
It's not yellow. Big bird's yellow. Ducks all came towards me when I came down here because I think people must feed them here. They're all coming looking for a handout. Sorry guys, didn't know, didn't bring anything. Should have brought some cheese. Then we could have had cheese and quackers. But I'm here all week, folks. Try the deal. Make sure you tip your waitress. Very nice park. Very nice park. Here's a couple just having a little snooze. Okay, as we walk back into the central part of the city, we've come upon some totem poles. I'm sure we'll see more while we're out here, because this really is the land of totem poles. And so this is a shot from another end of downtown Victoria. Busy end. And this is the BC Museum, which we'll come to tomorrow probably. Big truck coming by. And this is the back end of the Empress Hotel. We're going to go walk around towards the front of it. And this is a statue of Abigail Carr. She is one of our best known female painters in Canada. Should have been a member of the group of 7, but the problem is she is not. A lot of people think she was, but she did not qualify because she lacked a prerequisite. She was not a man. And it was an old boys club, the group of 7. But Abigail Carr went out, didn't let that stop her, and created a lot of very important pieces that are part of Canadian art history. And this is the Empress Hotel, one of the most famous landmarks here in Victoria. Costs you a lot to stay here, but you can do high tea here. You can do lots of other things too, I guess. If you want to stay in something that's historical, this might be a place for you to stay. What was that? Walter just said something.
I saw a review. The rooms are kind of plain for what.
Oh yeah, for what you pay
for
for it.
yeah.
And what would you pay for it? Over
The
500.
basic rate is about $650 a night.
Yeah. Okay. I like where we're staying. Fine. Went in here for a coffee and something to eat. Don't bother. Horrible coffee, and the cookies that we bought were like cardboard. So this is more proper Chinatown, as you can see. It has the gates. And we'll head down and see what there's to see. And this is a view of the Victoria Harbor. You can see the I guess that's not the Empress, that's the hotel, something else. There, Hotel
Get into
Grand Pacific, and then that's the legislature seat of government over there. Close up. And you see it's a marina. Lots of boats. Seaplanes. So here's another view of the harbor. And we're making our way over here to the government buildings, the legislature for BC. This would be the provincial legislature. And supposedly the public can go in and walk around a bit. I think they're in session as well. So you can go into the public gallery and listen to them, you know, spew forth words of wisdom. And I'm being sarcastic when I say that, because I don't imagine their government out here is any different than ours in Ontario. So here's another shot of the Parliament buildings, provincial Parliament buildings. Nice flowers. I'm trying to figure out what you do, because they have it under scaffolding right now, or they're doing some kind of construction. So Walter's looking up.
Says to go with visitors wishing to access the main entrance or to take a tour should arrive on the driveway via the government side of the buildings, which is this side.
Okay, so we're in the Parliament buildings and there's something going on in here, but you have some access to it. And this is the rotunda. And I guess this is kind of the showpiece of the building. And it is quite beautiful. And then apparently in about 5 minutes, Parliament will be in session, and they will come in with the Sergeant at Arms in that ceremony. So maybe we'll make our way up to the 3rd floor and take a look at that. And this is the rotunda on another floor higher up. So you can see right down to the bottom. There. And you got to go through security if you want to get into the public gallery. We just went through security and I had to basically take off all my clothes. I had to take off my belt, and we had to empty our pockets and do all that stuff. It was worse than at the airport. I didn't have to take off my belt at the airport, so I don't think we're going to bother. Well, we just sat through a question period, a little bit of it, in the legislature, which was interesting. I've never done that before. And nice to see that out here in BC, their legislature bickers and calls each other names just like they do in our Ontario legislature. And how they ever get anything done, I don't know. Today they were arguing over drugs. I think most of them were on it. But anyways, it was an interesting kind of thing to see. So yeah, something a little different. And another shot from a different point of view of the harbor. You can see all the boats that are in here. And we came from the legislature right there. And the weather right now, it's 10 degrees and it's pretty much sunny, some cloud, but otherwise kind of nice.